Hello children, let's come back to our maths class. Today we are going to continue with exercise 2.7, and in the previous class we have seen some of the points that can be used for our exercise 2.7. So what were the points, children? Let us have a small recap of the points that we have done in the previous class related to exercise 2.7. So what was the thing? So we have seen the different properties, yes. So we have seen the properties of polar form. We had 3 properties of polar form, and also we have seen the properties of arguments, and not only that, we have seen the principal argument of a complex number. So you have a different principal argument for different quadrants. That means if the complex number is lying on the first quadrant, suppose the complex number is lying on the first quadrant, you have to take the value for theta as alpha. Remember the condition. This is a very important condition you have to remember, because we have to take the value of theta from alpha according to the quadrants. So if the complex number is lying in the first quadrant, what is the value for theta? The value for theta is taken as alpha. And if the complex number is lying on the second quadrant, if it lies on the second quadrant, you have to take the value for theta as pi minus alpha. Remember, if this is alpha, so you have to take the whole, that is pi. The whole means the linear pair is 180 degree. So 180 minus alpha, that is pi minus alpha. And for the third quadrant, if the complex number is lying on the third quadrant, you have to just change this, or you can just take the reverse of it. You can take theta is equal to alpha minus pi. What is the value? Theta is equal to alpha minus pi. And the last case, if the complex number is lying on the fourth quadrant, the value for theta is taken as minus alpha. So for the first quadrant, the theta is taken as alpha, and for the second quadrant, the theta is taken as pi minus alpha. For the third quadrant, theta is taken as alpha minus pi, and the fourth quadrant, theta is taken as minus alpha. So you have to remember these properties, and we will be using these properties for our sums. And also we have seen the polar form or the trigonometric form of a complex number. What is the polar form? The polar form is written as z is equal to r cos theta plus I sin theta. You can write down this as r cis theta. Cis theta. What is the full form of cis theta? Cos theta plus I sin theta. So you can write cos theta plus I sin theta as cis theta. So r cis theta. I hope you are clear with the points. So just go through the points whenever you are having time. So that and one more thing, you have to remember all the properties, because we will be using the properties for our sums. Okay children, let us continue with our exercise 2.7. So take down your classwork, write down today's date, give the heading exercise 2.7, question number 1, write in polar form of the following complex numbers. So you are being given a complex number, and we are going to write down the complex number in the form of polar, or you are going to write down the complex number as the polar form. Just take down the work, come on. Get ready with the question. First question, its first part. 2 plus I 2 root 3. 2 plus I 2 root 3. So this is a complex form. You have a real part and you have an imaginary part. So this is a complex number. Now you are going to write down this complex number in the form of polar form. That is, you are going to write down this in the terms of cos theta and sin theta. Okay children, let's proceed the answers over here. Write on. Let 2 plus I 2 root 3 is equal to r cos theta plus I sin theta. So this is the polar form. So you are going to write down this as this format. So let 2 plus I 2 root 3 is equal to r cos theta plus I sin theta. So here the first thing is we are going to find out the value for r, and already I have given you the value for r, or I have given you the meaning of r. What is the meaning of r? R is denoting the modulus. What is r? Modulus. And you know how to find out modulus. Modulus is square root of x square plus y square. That is, you are going to square, you are going to find out the square root of the real part square plus the imaginary part square. So we are going to find out the value for r. Let's find out the value for r. So write down. R is equal to square root of x square plus y square, which is equal to, what is x? The real part. What is the x part here? 2 square plus y square. So what is the real imaginary part? You are not going to take I, you are just going to follow the imaginary part. I am not going to write down the imaginary unit. So we are not going to write down I, you are just going to take the imaginary, what that part? That is 2 root 3 square. 2 square plus 2 root 3 the whole square. Okay children, so let's simplify it further. So what do you get when you solve 2 square plus 2 root 3 the whole square? 2 square gives you 4, this is root 4 plus 2 root 3 the whole square. 2 root 3 the whole square means 2 square. What is 2 square? It's 4. 2 square is 4, and what is root 3 square? It's 3. So 4 into 3, 12. So you get here 12. See here, 2 root 3 the whole square. So 2 square into root 3 square. So 2 square is 4, root 3 square is root 3 into root 3 gives you 3. So 4 into 3, that's 12. So 4 plus 12. So this is equal to root 16. So which is equal to 4. So I have found the value for r. What is the value for r? R is equal to 4. So how you get the value for r? You have to use the formula for modulus, that is square root of x square plus y square. So we have completed the first part, that is we have found the value for r. Now let us move further. So now the next thing is we are going to find out alpha, because here just see children, we have to get the value for theta and theta. Yes, already we have found the value for r. Okay, so the value for r is steady. Now we have to find out the value for theta, but we cannot find the value for theta directly. What we are going to do is we are going to find out the value for alpha. Once we are able to find the value for alpha, we can try the value for theta. That is, we have to check for the quadrants, and we are going to find out the value for theta. I hope you are clear. So a complex number is given to you. So what are you going to do? You are going to convert, or you are going to change the complex number into polar form. What is the polar form? You are going to write down in terms of cos theta and sin theta. That is r cos theta plus I sin theta. And we may call polar form as trigonometric form also. Polar form or trigonometric form. Okay children? So this is the work. So here we have two unknowns. That is, I have to find the value for r. So we have found the value for r. And now you are going to find out the value for theta. So let's find out the value for theta. We cannot find the value for theta directly. So you are going to find out the value for alpha. And I have given you the formula for alpha children. What is the formula for alpha? Alpha is equal to tan inverse y by x. Tan inverse mod of y by x. Okay. Take the value for alpha. Alpha is equal to tan inverse mod of y by x. Okay. So let me write down the value for y and x. So this is tan inverse. What is the value for y children? Yeah, this is the x part and this is the y part. So y is 2 root 3. 2 root 3 upon x, that is 2. So 2 gets cancelled. So alpha is equal to tan inverse of root 3. So modulus root 3 will turn to be tan inverse root 3. So I have not completed, still we have one more step. Before I go to the step, I want you to take down a table. You can take down this table. Just you can just give some space in the rough column. You would have some place over here, children. So draw a table over here and you are going to write down the table. So first of all, let's write the table and then we will continue with our sum. So take down a table because we have to use the table. So 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree. So this is in terms of degree, okay? And now you're going to write down in terms of radian. Write down the degree. 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. So I'm going to change this degree in terms of radian. Let me change. So 0 will be 0. So you can write 0 as 0 itself. 30 will be taken as pi by 6. That is 180 by 6 gives you 30 degree. Okay, so pi by 6. This is pi by 4. 180 by 4. 4 4s are 16. 4 5s are 20. So pi by 4, 60. So 180 by 3. So pi by 3, pi by 2. 180 upon 2 gives you 90 degree. So I have just changed all the degrees in terms of, I hope you are clear. I'll just write little this side. So 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. So this is in terms of degree. Then I told you to write down in radian also, yes? So radian, zero, this is pi by 6, pi by 4, pi by 3 and pi by 2. Okay. So now we are going to write down some of the values. We are going to write down the value for sine, cos and tan, because we'll be mostly dealing with these three functions. Okay, children? So just put here sine, cos, tan. Just put sine, cos, tan. Do it neatly, children. We have to refer this table, okay? We need to refer this table. Sine, cos, tan. Let's fill the details. Sine, you know the value for sine is, you remember, 0, half, 1 by root 2, root 3 by 2, 1. Always remember the value for sine. If you just remember the value for sine, we can find out the remaining details. So what is the value for sine? 0, sine 0, 0, sine 30, half, sine 45, 1 by root 2, sine 60, root 3 by 2, and sine 90, it's 1. Okay. For cos, you have to just write down in a reverse order. So you have to start from 1. So 1, root 3 by 2, 1 by root 2, 1 by 2, 0. So 0, half, 1 by root 2, root 3 by 2, 1. So you have to write down in the reverse order. So 1, root 3 by 2, 1 by root 2, 1 by 2, 0. Okay. Now for tan, you have to divide sine and cos. If you divide sine and cos, you will get the answer for tan. Sine upon cos is equal to tan. So 0 upon 1 is 0. 0 upon 1, 0. Now 1 upon 2, root 3 upon 2. So the denominators are same. See, 2, 2. The denominators are same. So you have to take only the numerator. That is the denominator gets cancelled. So what is left here? 1 upon root 3. I hope you are clear. Already we have taken on this table. So just do it once again. So 1 upon 2 upon root 3 upon 2. So what happens? The denominator part gets cancelled. 2 and 2 gets cancelled. So what is left here? 1 upon root 3 is left. Here 1 upon root 2, 1 upon root 2. So you are dividing by the same number. So if you are dividing by the same number, you are going to get the answer as 1. So 1 upon root 2 upon 1 upon root 2 gives the answer 1. Root 3 upon 2, 1 upon 2. See again, the denominators are same. 2 and 2. The denominators are same. So you get the answer as root 3. So root 3 upon 1 is root 3. Here 1 upon 0 not defined. We cannot divide 1 by 0, so not defined. So just get this table ready, children. So we have drawn a table for sine, cos and tan along with the degree and the radian. So just write down it neatly. So you have to keep the table ready so that we can, if you are clear with the table, we can directly choose the value and we can write down the answers over here. Okay, have you taken down the table, children? Do it neatly. Do not just draw roughly. You have to use your scale and you have to complete your table. Okay, children, I hope you are ready with the table. Shall we continue over here? Okay, now see here. I want tan inverse root 3. So where is root 3 here? Here. That means 60 degree, that is pi by 3. So you are going to write down the answer in terms of radian. Do not use a degree over here. Write the answer in radian. So you get here alpha is equal to pi by 3. Tan inverse of root 3. Okay, so tan inverse root 3 is pi by 3. Okay, children. So we got the value for alpha. What is the value for alpha? Alpha is equal to pi by 3. Okay. So now we have to find out the value for theta, because if you find the value for theta, then only we can write the polar form. So I hope you are clear with the alpha part, children. So first one was finding r. We have found r using the modulus formula, that is square root of x square plus y square. Once we find the modulus, we have to go for alpha. And how you get alpha? Alpha is equal to tan inverse modulus y by x. So we have found the answer. Now we have to change alpha, or you have to write down alpha in terms of theta. To go for this, we have to focus on the principal value of a complex number. That is, we have listed out the first quadrant, what will be the condition for first quadrant, what will be the condition for the second quadrant, and so on. Yes, children? We have 4 cases for principal argument. Yes? So let's write down here. So this is 2 plus I2 root 3. Okay, children? So we have to check where is this complex number lying? Where is the complex number lying? Whether it's lying in the first quadrant or whether it's lying on the second quadrant, and so on. So just you have to check the value for x and y. What is the value for x and y? X is 2 and this is 2 root 3. Okay? Here we cannot it's very difficult to find out the minute value or the correct value of y. So what are we going to do is, we are just going to focus on the sign of the x part and the y part. What is the sign of x, children? What is the sign? It's plus. And what is the sign of y part? The sign is plus. That is, you were having a complex number 2 plus I2 root 3. Yes, children? So we were having this. That means the sign of the x part is plus and sign of the y part is plus. That means you are having a plus plus value. So where is the plus plus part going to lie? It's going to lie on the first quadrant. So remember, we have plus plus over here. That is always, we write like this. Yes? So everything, once we start with this thing, we have to go with so many things. So I'll just draw x-axis and y-axis. X, y, we write down here all the positives. We write down here all the negatives. So positive number, a negative number. Again we put here positive number and we put here negative number. That means here for the first quadrant, a second quadrant, third quadrant and a fourth quadrant. For the first quadrant, the x is positive, y is positive. So the sign is plus plus. So for a first quadrant you have a sign plus plus. For the second quadrant the x is minus and the y is plus. So minus plus. What is the sign for the second quadrant? Minus plus. Some children, you may feel that ma'am is just giving this thing, we know all this thing, but you may make a mistake over here. So you have to be very careful with the signs, because if you just make a mistake in choosing the quadrant, the remaining part goes wrong. You may get an answer till here, like you may get a correct value till here, but if you just choose a wrong quadrant, everything goes wrong. So be careful, you have to be clear with the quadrants. So if you get a plus plus value, that means the complex number is going to lie on the first quadrant. And if you get a minus plus, that is the x, we are going to always, we have to follow the x part first and then we'll take the y part. Okay, children? So minus plus. So when you have minus plus, the value will lie on the second quadrant. And for the third quadrant, you have the x-axis as negative, and also you have the y-axis as negative. So you have to take minus minus as the third quadrant. And for the fourth quadrant, you will have plus minus. The x-axis, the values on x is plus, and the values on y-axis negative. So plus minus is for fourth quadrant. Okay, children, be careful. So plus plus lies on the first quadrant, minus plus lies on the second quadrant, and minus minus lies on the third quadrant, and finally plus minus lies on the fourth quadrant. So we are going to follow this, and we are going to proceed for the next step. Okay, so now here, what are the values for x and y? So we just saw the values were 2 and 2 root 3, and the signs were plus plus. I have told you, if you have plus plus, that means it is going to lie on the first quadrant. So let's complete the answer over here. Write down the statement. Since the complex number 2 plus I 2 root 3 lies on the first quadrant, because I have told you the quadrant is very, very important. We have to choose a proper quadrant. If you make mistake in choosing the quadrant, everything goes wrong. So we have found that it is lying on the first quadrant. How you check that it is lying on the first quadrant? You have to just focus on the sign of the real part and the sign of the imaginary part. What is the sign of the real part? It's plus. What is the sign of the imaginary part? It is plus. So plus plus, it's going to lie on the first quadrant. Therefore, since the complex number 2 plus I 2 root 3 lies on the first quadrant, theta is equal to alpha. We have seen the general formula, and we have seen the formula. If it is lying on the first quadrant, theta will be taken as alpha. If it lies on the second quadrant, theta is taken as pi minus alpha. Yes, children, and so on. So we are going to take the value for theta as alpha. So what is the value for theta? Already we have found the value for alpha. So theta is equal to pi by 3. See, I have found the value for theta. So from alpha I get the value for theta. Okay. So but you have to get the value for alpha, and also you have to check on which quadrant the particular complex number is going to lie. So since the quadrant was the first quadrant, we have chosen theta as alpha. So theta is equal to pi by 3. So we have completed the required part, that is we want to find the r value. We have got the value for r, and also we want the value for theta. We have got the value for theta. Now let's complete the final answer. Therefore, 2 plus I 2 root 3 is equal to, it was r cos theta plus I sin theta. Yes, children, this was the polar form. Okay, so this is r. What is the value for r? We got r as 4 cos theta. What is theta? Pi by 3. Do not get confused. We never get alpha and theta. You just do not close your eyes and write alpha and theta to be same. Here theta is equal to alpha because it is lying in the first quadrant. If it is lying in the second quadrant, you have to take pi minus alpha. If it is lying in the third quadrant, alpha minus pi, and so on. Okay, children? So the value changes. So since this is in a first quadrant, I can take the same value as alpha. So cos of pi by 3 plus I sin pi by 3. Still the sum has been not complete. We have one more step to go. So just write down till here. So 2 plus I 2 root 3 is equal to 4 cos pi by 3 plus I sin pi by 3. Okay, so now we are going to write the alternate form. Just refer your points, remember. I have given you a point under argument. Yeah, I just come to the point under properties of arguments. I have given you fourth point under properties of argument, the alternate form of cos theta plus I sin theta. So we have an alternate form. You can write down this in one more way. That's how can you write down this? You can write down this as cos 2k pi plus theta. Yes, 2k pi plus theta plus I sin 2k pi plus theta. So what are you going to do? You are going to add 2k pi. That's all. Actually, this is the answer. This is a polar form. This is the correct answer, but along with this you are going to write down alternate form. Alternate form is you can write down the polar form in one more way. This is equal to 4 cos 2k pi plus pi by 3. Are you clear, children? So you are just going to add 2k pi to the theta. 2k pi plus theta. So cos 2k pi plus pi by 3 plus I sin 2k pi plus pi by 3. Okay, children, so we have completed the alternate form, and one more thing you have to write down below, or you can just put a comma and you can write k belonging to z. K belonging to z, that means k can take the value, any value. It can take the positive value, it can take the negative value, or it can take a 0 value. So what is the alternate form? The alternate form is cos of 2k pi plus theta. What is the value for theta here? The value for theta is pi by 3. So cos 2k pi plus pi by 3 plus I sin 2k pi plus pi by 3. K belonging to z. Okay, children. So this is the required answer. Okay, children, have you taken down? So we'll have one more statement. We'll write the final statement. Just complete the final statement saying, therefore, polar form is 4 cos 2k pi plus pi by 3 plus I sin 2k pi plus pi by 3, k belonging to z. Okay, children, so this is the required answer. So we have completed the first question. It is the first subpart from the first question. Okay, children, so now just come for the homework part. You have to complete subpart 2, subpart 3 and subpart 4 as homework. Your homework will be subpart 1, subpart 2, subpart 3 and subpart 4. Very easy. Second one, just check for the quadrants properly. Okay, if you get the correct quadrant, you will get the answer properly. So do it properly. So you have to find out R, you have to find out alpha. The first step is to find R. The second step is to find alpha. The third step is to find out in which quadrant it is going to lie. The fourth step is to find out the value for theta. And the fifth step is to write down the polar form. First you write down the polar form. After writing the polar form, you have to write the alternate form. So you write down the alternate form. Alternate form is you are just going to add 2k pi. That's all. Very simple thing. Whatever you have got the theta value, along with theta value, you are going to add 2k pi. And you will get the required polar form. Okay, children? So try out. So subpart 2 is easy. Subpart 3 is easy. And for the subpart 4, already the denominator part is given in the polar form. So you are not going to do anything to the denominator part. You are only going to change the numerator part. Okay, children? So complete the work. So you have to complete question number 1. So exercise 2.7, question number 1, first, second subpart, third subpart and the fourth subpart is your homework. Let's move to question number 2. Take down question number 2. Find the rectangular form of the complex numbers. Take down the question. Find the rectangular form. Okay, so in the previous case we have found the polar form. So now you are going to find the rectangular form. Rectangular form is you are going to write down in terms of real form and imaginary part. That is real part plus imaginary part. That is you are going to write down in the form of x plus iy. So here we have written in the form of cos theta and sin theta. Rectangular form is you have to write down as x plus iy. So you are going to write down the real part and the imaginary part. Okay, children, let's move to the second sum. It's very easy. Just we have to apply the properties and we have to apply the steps and we have to get the answer. So unit 2 is very, very easy. You just do it properly. So do not waste your time. You start practicing your sums. Okay. I'll take the first subpart. What is the first subpart? Cos pi by 6. Cos pi by 6 plus I sin pi by 6 into cos pi by 12, cos pi by 12 plus I sin pi by 12. So this is the question. So now here we are going to use the properties of polar form. We have seen three properties, children. We have seen the property for Z inverse, that is if you know the value for Z, we can find the value for Z inverse. And also if two polar forms are given, that is Z1 and Z2 is given, we can find out for Z1 into Z2. And if Z1 and Z2 is given, we can find out Z1 upon Z2. So we know these three properties. So we are going to use this property and we are going to find out the answer. So here, since this is given in the form of product, you see here, this is Z1, we can consider this part as Z1 and we can consider this part as Z2. So this is the first polar form and this is the second polar form. So I am going to use the second property, Z1 into Z2. Okay children, let's use the second property and get the answer. Since here R is not mentioned, yes, we have used a formula. If Z1 is equal to R cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1 and Z2 is equal to R2 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2. Yes children, then we would have written Z1 into Z2 is R1 R2 cos of theta 1 plus theta 2 plus I sin theta 1 plus theta 2. So this was the formula, yes. Do you remember this property? Yes. You can just refer page number 80 or you would have taken down in the classwork. You can refer your classwork. So if you have two polar forms like Z1 and Z2, so you have to write down the product as R1 into R2 cos of theta 1 plus theta 2 plus I sin theta 1 plus theta 2. But here for this sum you don't have R1, R2. So what I am going to do is we are not going to take this R1 and R2 and we are going to take the remaining part. Because R1 and R2 is not mentioned here, or you can just think that they are 1, 1. So 1 into 1 is going to be 1. So you are going to write down the formula as cos theta 1 plus theta 2 plus I sin theta 1 plus theta 2. Okay children? So let's proceed with the answer. Because here actually they have not given. So you can consider the R1 as 1 and R2 as 1. So R1 into R2 is going to be 1. So we will write down like that. Okay children? So I'll write down the formula. Let's take the formula first. Let's write down the property. Write down the property here. Z1, if Z1 is equal to R1 cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1 and Z2 is equal to R2 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2, then Z1 into Z2 is equal to R1 R2 cos theta 1 plus theta 2 plus I sin theta 1 plus theta 2. So this is the property that we are going to use for this sum. Take down the property children. You may get a mark. You may get a mark for the property. So we have to write down the properties. We cannot miss our marks. Yes. So write down the properties. Take down the property, very easy property. So now we are going to just use the property and we are going to get the answer. Okay. So Z1 is R1 cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1 and Z2 is R2 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2. Then we get Z1 into Z2 is equal to R1 into R2 cos of theta 1 plus theta 2 plus I sin theta 1 plus theta 2. Okay children, here our work is to identify theta 1 and theta 2. So what is theta 1? Theta 1 is pi by 6, and what is theta 2? It's pi by 12 and pi by 2. Pi by 12 and pi by 2, that's all. And mostly we are having all the signs and everything is same, yes. We are having with the main sign is plus, so no need to worry, we can directly substitute the formulas. Let's see here. Therefore, cos of pi by 6 plus I sin pi by 6 into cos pi by 12 plus I sin pi by 12 is equal to, what is the formula children? The formula is R1 into R2. I have told you that R1 into R2 is 1 here because R1 is 1 and R2 is 1. So I'm just going to leave that 1. So I'm not going to mention it. I'm going to continue with this remaining part. So cos of theta 1 plus theta 2. What is theta 1? Pi by 6. What is theta 2? Pi by 12. Plus I sine pi by 6 plus pi by 12. So you get the product is equal to. So you may ask, where is R1 into R2? R1 and R2 is 1. So 1 into 1 gives you 1. So no need to mention. So cos of theta 1 plus theta 2, pi by 6 plus pi by 12. What is next thing? Plus I sine of theta 1 plus theta 2. What is theta 1? Pi by 6. And what is theta 2? Pi by 12. So now let's add them. So what you get? So first of all, make the denominators common. So this is 6. So have to multiply by 2, multiply by 2. Here also multiply by 2 and multiply by 2. So what you get? Cos of 2 pi plus pi by 12 plus I sine 2 pi plus pi by 12. This is cos of 3 pi by 12 plus I sine 3 pi by 12. This is equal to cos pi by 4 plus I sine pi by 4. 3 ones are 3 fours are 3 ones are 3 fours are. So cos of pi by 4 plus I sine pi by 4. I hope you are clear with this step, children. So I have just substituted the formula. Very simple. We have written the property. So this 3 line is the property. So we are substituting the property, that is cos of theta 1 plus theta 2. So from the question we know the value for theta 1 and theta 2. So just put the value. Here we have the denominator 6 and here we have the denominator 12. So try to take the LCM. So I am multiplying by 2. If you are multiplying by 2 in the denominator, the same thing should be carried out in the numerator also. So pi into 2, 6 into 2, 2 pi plus pi, 2 pi plus pi. Okay. So what you get? Cos pi by 4 plus I sine pi by 4. You can just refer your table. I have given a table. Find out the value for cos pi by 4, children. Find out the value for cos pi by 4 and sine pi by 4. It's cos 45 and sine 45. It's 1 by root 2, yes? So this is 1 by root 2 plus I 1 by root 2. So 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2 is common. So I'll take 1 by root 2 common. So 1 plus I. So this is the required rectangular form. So what is the answer? The answer is therefore required rectangular form is 1 by root 2, 1 plus I. Required rectangular form is 1 by root 2, 1 plus I. Okay, I hope you are clear with the first sum. Yes, so in the first sum we have used the second property. We have used a property for multiplication. Okay, children, so let's do one more sum from this sum because the second sum is of different type. We have to change the sign. So I'll be doing the second sum also. Let's do the second sum. Have you taken on the first part, children? Complete it. So do not waste your time. Sums are easy. You are just going to practice it properly. Once you practice it, your units are very, very easy compared to 11th standard. 12th standard is very easy. You can just score more. You have just completed so big bunch. Yes, student, in the 11th standard, we have just seen so many sums, so many exercises, so many solved examples. But compared to 11th, 12th portion is okay. So you can just manage it well. You have managed 11th standard properly, so you can manage 12th also well. Okay, children? So just put all your efforts and you are going to get, you have to get good marks. Okay, children? So you are going to try your level best. Okay, let's move to the second subpart from second question. I hope you are clear, children. Very simple. That's why again and again I repeat, you have to be clear or you have to be thorough with all the properties. If you are thorough with all the properties, you can just put a proper property, substitute the value and get the answer. Okay, let's move to the second question. What is the second question? Cos pi by 6 minus I sin pi by 6 upon, it's 2 cos pi by 3 plus I sin pi by 3. Okay children, so this is the question given to us. Cos pi by 6 minus I sin pi by 6 upon 2 cos pi by 3 plus I sin pi by 3. So now let's go with the answer over here. So now again we are going to use the property of polar form. But here in the previous sum we used the multiplication property. We were using z1 into z2. Here we are going to use z1 upon z2. Okay children, z1 upon z2. First of all, let's write the property and then we are going to substitute the value. Let's do the work. Right. If z1 is equal to r1 cos theta 1 plus theta 2. So this is first one, complex number is. So r1 cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1 and z2 is equal to r2 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2, then z1 upon z2 is equal to r1 upon r2 cos of theta 1 minus theta 2 plus I sin theta 1 minus theta 2. Remember the properties children. So what is the two complex number you are having over here? r1 cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1, and what is z2? r2 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta 2. And if you divide, what you get? r1 upon r2 cos of theta 1 minus theta 2 plus I sin theta 1 minus theta 2. Okay children, so we are just going to apply the property and we are going to get the answer. But here for this sum we cannot apply the property directly. We have to make some of the changes. Just see the cases children. Here for the second part, r2 is there, okay, cos theta 2 plus sign is there, I sin theta 2. So the denominator part is okay. It is of the form of a complex number. But just see the numerator part. r1 is not there, that is not a problem. If r1 is not mentioned, you can just consider it as 1. That is not a matter. Cos of theta 1, here we should get a plus sign. But instead of plus sign, they have given you minus sign. So we cannot apply the property directly for minus plus. If you have to apply the property, you should get this format. That is, you have to get the complex form of this form. That is, you should get r1 cos theta 1 plus I sin theta 1, r2 cos theta 2 plus I sin theta. But the denominator part is of the form cos theta plus I sin theta. But here it is, we are having a minus sign. So we have to change this minus sign first of all. So once we change the minus sign in terms of plus sign, then only we can apply the property and we can get the answer. So let's see how to change the sign. Let's go for the step children. I'll just continue over here. Are you ready with the property? Take down the property. Get ready with the property. Okay, now let's do the work. We have studied in our 11th standard how to write down theta in terms of minus theta or minus theta in terms of theta. That is, we have seen for all the 6 trigonometric functions. Let me start from sine. Sine, cos, tan, cosec, sec, cot. And if you have minus theta, minus theta, minus theta, minus theta, minus theta, minus theta, how are you going to write this? If you have minus theta for a trigonometric function, and how are you going to write down this in terms of theta? So for everything except cos and sec, you get a negative answer. That is, for sine of minus theta, it turns to be minus sine theta. For tan of minus theta, it turns to be minus tan theta. For cosec minus theta, it turns to be minus cosec theta. Cot minus theta minus cot theta. I hope you people remember this, children. Yes, we have just seen this in our unit 3, yes, trigonometry. And for cos minus theta, it's cos theta, and for secant minus theta, it's secant of theta or sec theta. Getting the point? So for cos theta and sec theta, the minus turns to be plus, and for the remaining thing, the minus just comes before the trigonometric function. So sine of minus theta minus sine theta, cos minus theta, cos theta, and so on. Okay, children? So remember, for cos minus theta and secant of minus theta, and others all, you get a minus sign front of the function. So we are just going to use this property, and we are going to try to change the minus in terms of plus. So let's do the work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write this cos of pi by 6 as, see here, just very simple. So cos pi by 6, I'll write as minus pi by 6. And you have to be very careful that you should not change the value. Now, cos pi by 6 and cos minus pi by 6 is one and the same, because I have told you cos of minus theta is equal to cos theta. Yes, that means minus pi by 6. So cos of minus pi by 6 is equal to cos of pi by 6. Do you agree with this statement? Yes, because the minus theta is going to change as theta. So I can write pi by 6 as minus pi by 6. Okay. Now what I am going to do here, children, this pi by 6 is there. So I am going to write down this as plus. What I am going to do here, I am going to change this as plus I sine of minus pi by 6. I hope you are clear. Are you clear, children? So let's see whether we are getting the same answer. Cos of minus pi by 6, cos of pi by 6. I am getting the same answer. Now what is the value for sine minus pi by 6, children? What is the value for sine of minus theta? This is minus sine theta, yes. So sine of minus pi by 6 will become minus. So where are you going to put minus? You are going to put minus in the front. So I'll get minus I sine pi by 6. Are you clear? Let me explain once again. So how are we going to balance the form? So cos pi by 6 is written as cos of minus pi by 6, because both the values are same. Cos of minus theta is equal to cos theta. And how I am going to change this? In place of plus, I am going to write here, it is in place of minus, I am going to put here plus I sine minus pi by 6. So here plus positive was there, pi by 6. So you are going to put here minus pi by 6. Because sine of minus pi by 6 is minus. So when minus comes out, it will become minus. The plus will become minus. So you will get the original form. Okay, children? Okay, so now you are going to write the denominator as it is. There is no need to change the denominator part. Cos pi by 3 plus I sine pi by 3. Okay. Now let us go for the theta 1 and theta 2. What is theta 1? Theta 1 minus pi by 6. Theta 1 minus pi by 6. What is theta 2? Pi by 3, pi by 3. What is R1? R1 is 1. What is R2? R2 is 2. So let us apply the formula and get the value. So this is equal to R1 upon R2. R1 upon R2, 1 upon 2 out. Cos of theta 1. What is theta 1? Yes, minus pi by 6. Theta 2 minus pi by 3 plus I sine theta 1 minus theta 2. What is theta 1? Minus pi by 6 minus pi by 3. Come on, simplify, children. Simplify and get the answer. So we have to simplify and we have to get the answer. So again, try to make the denominator same. You have 6 and 3. Yes, children? So you can multiply by 2 and multiply by 2. So if you multiply the denominator by 2, multiply the numerator also by 2. So what you get? So this is equal to half cos of minus pi minus 2 pi upon 6 plus I sine minus pi minus 2 pi by 6. I'll just do it over here. So this is equal to half of cos minus 3 pi by 6. Minus pi minus 2 pi minus 1 minus 2 minus 3. So minus 3 pi by 6 plus I sine minus 3 pi by 6. So this is 2 1 by 2. So half cos of minus pi by 2 plus I sine of minus pi by 2. So we have to change the sign first, student. So we are going to change the minus theta in terms of theta, and then we will put the value, because we know the value for positive theta is, we don't know for negative theta. So we have to change the signs first. So let's change. So cos of minus theta is cos theta. So this is half cos pi by 2. Sine of minus theta is minus sine theta. So the minus will come out. Minus I sine pi by 2. Cos pi by 2, 0. We have written in the table. You can just verify. So half 0 minus I sine pi by 2 is 1. So this is, what is the answer? Half into minus I, that's minus I by 2. So you get the answer as minus I by 2. So you can write on the final statement. Therefore the required rectangular form is minus I by 2. And on the final statement, therefore required rectangular form is minus I by 2. Okay. So we have completed our second sum. So what we have done, we have used the properties for second sum. One we have used a multiplication property, and one we have used a division property. So be careful, you should get a proper form. That is, the form should be r cos theta plus I sin theta. So if you are not having the proper form, try to change it and get the answer. I hope you were clear with today's sum. So we have completed the first one. What was the first thing? We tried to change the complex number in terms of polar form, and also we have changed the polar form in terms of a rectangular form. Okay, so we have seen both the forms. So just practice all the sums, and we will be continuing with the remaining sums in the next class.